At a time when medical spending is out of control, some so-called nonprofit hospitals are actually making a lot of money. In recent months, we've been looking into a very highly respected one. Terrell Brown has a CBS This Morning investigation. Terrell, good morning.
Charlie, good morning to you. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center cares for the sick and saves lives. And as a nonprofit, it also gets a big tax break. But there are concerns that in some ways it's acting more like a Fortune 500 company, reaping big profits and driving up health care costs.
At the heart of all we do is you. UPMC.
The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center is ranked one of the best hospitals in the nation, renowned for developing groundbreaking technologies like a robotic arm moved by the brain. But we were surprised to learn that this nonprofit hospital made almost $1 billion in profit over the last 2 years. While it spends just 2% of its budget on charity care, it gets an estimated state and federal tax break of $200 million. Pittsburgh Mayor Luke Ravenstahl is suing to revoke its nonprofit status. His city stands to gain $20 million a year.
This is an institution that over the course of the past 3 or 4 years has generated over $1 billion in what they call excess revenue. That's just a way for them to say profit.
UPMC a charity?
I think they're going to be hard-pressed to be able to prove how they're operating the same way as the Little Sisters of the Poor or the local church. True, genuine nonprofits. UPMC, I'm afraid not.
UPMC would say that there are political motivations here. This political?
Not at all. In fact, I'm not running for office. I'm done in the mayor's office in 9 months. I have no reason to use this in any political way.
The mayor was also surprised to find that at a nonprofit, the CEO makes $6 million a year, has access to a private chef, chauffeur, and a jet, has one of the most expensive office spaces in the city, and has a dozen administrators that annually make more than $1 million. Professor Martin Gaynor of Carnegie Mellon has published papers on hospitals that are nonprofits but don't act like it. He also works here in Pittsburgh.
There's a lot of concern here in the community. They've taken some actions that don't appear to be consistent with an organization whose mission is to benefit the community.
Some of UPMC's profits are used to improve its facilities, but there are concerns about how even that money is spent. Professor Gaynor says this new state-of-the-art pediatric center looks like a palace.
It is a tremendous asset to the community. On the other hand, one has to ask whether it was so important to make it so beautiful, or whether some of those dollars could have been used to better purpose.
And while nonprofits are required to serve the community, UPMC has closed hospitals in poorer neighborhoods and opened them in more affluent ones. We tried to ask UPMC about that, but they chose not to give us an interview. At the time, they claimed the hospitals they closed were underutilized. But there's more to this than just profits and tax breaks. In Pittsburgh and cities across the nation, hospitals have been growing. The bigger they get, the more power they have to set prices and make insurers pay more. And patients foot the bill with higher premiums, copays, and deductibles. It's one reason why healthcare costs have been going up.
At the end of the day, when hospitals charge higher prices, who pays for them? Dollar for dollar, the rest of us.
While UPMC wouldn't provide anyone to answer our questions, on YouTube a hospital spokesman did respond to the mayor's lawsuit, challenging its nonprofit status. He argued that more than 2% of UPMC's budget goes to charity care if you include research and Medicaid patients.
Last year, for example, UPMC contributed $622 million in charity care and in other charitable contributions.
In a statement to CBS News, he added that the law does not mean a nonprofit shouldn't strive to have a positive operating margin. Organizations that don't do that go out of business. And it does not mean that a nonprofit should pay its officers and employees anything other than compensation pegged at market equivalents. While UPMC says its officers are paid market value, its CEO makes more than that of any other large nonprofit hospital in the country. That's according to the latest public figures, and that's part of the mayor's concern here.
Terrell, does the Affordable Care Act do anything about this?
The Affordable Care Act may actually be making the problem worse. It encourages hospitals to grow and consolidate with the idea that that will improve efficiency, and that efficiency will then lower costs. What we found, though, in this investigation was completely the opposite. These hospitals are growing, they're getting bigger, and instead of charging less, they charge more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terrell.